Okay, perfect. Looks like we are live. Should we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are taking a pause from the talks on the Yoga Sutras that we were having because Navratri is almost upon us. What we'll be doing for the next 9 talks is covering the Nava Durga sequentially, starting with Shailputri from today. Over to you, Rajen.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, there are certain times when we have in the year we have the seasons and the rainy season and the winter season, summer season, etc. Similarly, there are certain cosmic cycles, and these are cosmic cycles of energy. And Navratri being a time where the feminine energy is at its peak. So it is like when you're looking at a horoscope, you say the moon was closest to the earth at the time of your birth. Similarly, at the time of Navratri, the feminine energies are most easily available. Now, so it is a period in the cosmic calendar, not our calendar, where certain energies are available, and in our calendar, that period lasts for 9 days. The word invocation, what we call in Hindi as avahan. The word invocation means the art of using the power of words to draw upon energies of higher frequency, or we can draw upon a divine presence, and to use that presence or to use that power in our inner journey. Now, there are basically 2 kinds of invocations. The first is invocation of Shiv Tattva, and the second is invocation of Shakti Tattva. Invocation of Shiv Tattva is what we call as invoking our own presence. Am I present in this moment? Just now you're listening to me. Are you present? Is your presence in the present moment, or is your presence gone for a ride somewhere, or we've gone daydreaming somewhere? So where is my presence? The presence is always something higher. It is divine. It is God. It is Shiva. So whenever we call upon our presence, we are invoking the presence. And Mr. Gold has this beautiful sentence, invoke the presence of your presence in the present. Right? So the presence is invoked. Now, so that is the invocation of Shiv Tattva, which we should do as many times in the day as possible, whenever we remember to invoke our own presence, to be present in the present moment. The second is the invocation of Shakti Tattva, the invocation of energy or Shakti. Invocation of Shiv Tattva is what Gurdjieff calls as self-remembering. Mr. Tauria ji said that through the practice of 3-step rhythmic breathing, we develop a certain self-sensitivity. Raman Maharishi used to ask the question, who am I? All these techniques are for invoking presence or to invoke the Shiva Tattva. Or in Mr. Tauria's language, to invoke the divine fragment. But whenever we want to hold presence, whenever we want to be present in the present, we need energy to hold that presence. Many times we do hold our presence, but we can't hold it. It immediately goes away. It hardly lasts for a fleeting moment or something. So for that, we need a certain kind of energy. And the ordinary energy, ordinary psychic energy cannot work over here. Energy of a very high order is needed over here. So I may be able to invoke my presence, which is the Shiv Tattva, but it does not remain. It comes as a glimpse and goes away. I try to be present in the present moment, but I'm there for a fraction of a second and it goes away. I do not have the energy to hold it. In yoga, this is called an antaraya or an interval. That in the holding of Shiva Tattva, which in yoga is called as Ishwar Pranidhana. Tavaria Sahib calls it the failure to hold the meditative attitude when achieved. I think, Keto, if you read sentence by sentence, then I'll try to explain when necessary.
Okay, let me do that.
Because I'm finding it a little difficult today.
Yeah. Yes.
Energy is Shakti.
Energy is Shakti. She is playfully called the female consort of Shiva. Initially, Shiva and Shakti are one. But
so
for
the Shastras say that Shiva and Shakti were one in the beginning. You did not know whether it was Shiva or Shakti. Maybe it was a male-dominated world, so they called it Shiva. But it was both Shiva and Shakti. Then Shiva has this desire to create the world, right? And so Shakti comes out of Shiva and she goes on this journey of creation, right? So please go ahead, yeah.
But for the purpose of creation, Shakti separates and becomes the apparent cause of creation. Shiva is just a silent onlooker.
Once Shakti is separated, Shiva can't do anything. His only thing he can do is to allow Shakti to separate, and Shakti goes into this whole creative program of creating the universe.
Yeah. Shiva is the ultimate unchangeable reality, or we can say pure consciousness.
So the whole Hindu thought or the whole Vedic thought is based upon that there are two poles of reality, right? One pole is never changing and one pole is ever changing. And the never changing pole is called as Shiva, or it is called as what do you call Purusha, and the ever changing pole is called as Shakti, or it is called as Prakriti, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing ever changes in Shiva. You take consciousness out of consciousness, it remains pure consciousness. Reality has two poles. One, the ever-changing, and the other, the never-changing. Shiva is the never-changing, and Shakti is the ever-changing.
Yeah, good.
These are the first two poles to come into existence.
These are the first 2 points of existence, right? So there was inky darkness, Mr. Tavaria says. Nothing was there in that inky darkness. And these were the first 2 points, Shiva and Shakti. Initially, they won and they divided into two.
Unless there is a never-changing pole or a fixed frame of reference, you cannot know whether things are moving or static. Should I even talk about the Akash Shiv Tattva?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shiva Tattva even precedes the Akash Tattva. Science today tells us that what we believe as static space or the fabric of space isn't really static. It came into being and expanded at the time of creation, and it continues to expand even today. And a lot of major celestial events today still cause it to vibrate. And thus, This Akash Tattva, which we believe as static or unchanging, is also a form of Shakti, although a very subtle one. And subsequently, as creation progresses, these two poles then become the north and south, the positive, negative, the male and female, and so on.
Well said. Good. Very nice. Yes. Good.
Shakti is basically female, but she again divides herself into two parts, a female aspect and a male aspect.
So every person has male energy and female energy, right? When I'm receiving something, it is female energy. When I'm giving something, it is male energy, right? When I'm holding something, it is female energy. So a female holds the child in the womb for 9 months. So that is called Dharana Shakti. Right? So, but when I'm erasing something, it is male energy. When I'm aggressive, it is male energy. When I'm recipient, it is female energy. Right? So, but basically all energy is Shakti. And because all energy is Shakti, all energy is feminine. Right? Basically.
As the male aspect, she is the body-brain system. As the female aspect,
Shakti goes to create the world, goes to create the universe. And she has to create two paths. One is the structures, and second, the energy to give petrol to those structures. Go ahead, yeah.
she is the energy which digests the food. She is the energy of
So can you say from that male aspect again?
As the male aspect, Shakti is the body-brain system.
Ketav, if you put up the notes, then people can read them at the same time, like we do in the purpose of birth and death. Yeah. And now if you can read them, yeah.
Shakti is basically female, but she again divides herself into two parts, a female aspect and a male aspect. As the male aspect, she is the body-brain system. As the female aspect, she is the energy which runs the body-brain system. She is the energy which digests the food. She is the energy of understanding in the brain.
Yeah, so the brain becomes the male aspect. The energy which runs the brain is the female aspect. So in what do you call, in the language of the Upanishads, this is called as Pran and Rai. Rai is the structure. Pran is the petrol which runs the structure. Right, good, yeah.
As we have seen in Shiva, there are no degrees or differences. But
nothing changes in Shiva. It is eternally, always the same. You take the whole of Shiva out of Shiva, he is the same. And you add the whole of Shiva to Shiva, no mathematics works over there. Right? It's just the same. Yeah, please go ahead.
But Shakti must take on various forms and frequencies of vibration. To digest food, she has a certain frequency. And to bring understanding in the brain, she takes another form.
And she becomes structures. So she changes her frequency, she'll change her speed, she'll change her grossness. Of course, grossness and subtleness will depend upon frequency, right? The frequency of vibration. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more subtle will Shakti become. More she will be towards Shiva, and the more the frequency drops, the more away from Shiva she is, right?
And to become the form of a stone, she becomes the lowest frequency possible. She solidifies.
Lowest frequency, she becomes the mineral kingdom, or what Mr. Tavaria calls as Nade. Yeah.
It is from Shakti that mind and matter are created. They are just different frequencies of Shakti.
Right. So matter may be solid, mind is not solid. But it is just the grossness of mind which becomes matter, and it is the subtleness of matter that becomes mind.
But even though Shakti has separated from Shiva, in her heart, her deepest desire is to go back and merge with Shiva and become one again.
This is in all Shakti, all energy. wants to return to its source. She wants to go back to her lover. She wants to be one with him, merge into him once again. Right?
But this cannot be done on a mass scale. Each individual must do it for himself.
If it is done on the mass scale, there'll be no universe. Yeah, so it cannot be done on a mass scale, but we can do it with the Shakti which is in our body-brain system, which is a mini universe. And in this mini universe, which is an exact replica of the higher scale universe, we can take Shakti from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head. Right.
Shakti resides at the base of the spine, the lowest frequency, and through personal effort, the yogi takes it to the top of the head to merge with Shiva.
This is our rise in consciousness, climbing the ladder of consciousness. Right? Again, please understand, consciousness never changes, but because the frequency of Shakti drops, we think consciousness has changed while actually Shakti has changed. Right?
The highest form of Shakti is that which vibrates at the same frequency as Shiva and can hold Shiva in a womb.
So the highest form of energy is that energy which vibrates at the same vibrational rate as the divine fragment. That is, Shakti has now become equal to Shiva, and she is now ready to merge back into Shiva, go back into Shiva. But she has to raise her frequency right from that of the Nadir to stone consciousness to the highest consciousness to be able to do this. And that is all that our personal spiritual journey is about. Right?
That is the power to hold Shiva and not let him go.
So the highest form of Shakti will be the power to hold Shiva and not let him go. We are 31 participants over here. I don't know who all are on the YouTube. But if everybody agrees, I'm going to talk a little more clearly about this, because I want to talk about it at the lowest level to the highest level.
Yeah.
Can you put your, it will be a little, yeah. So
Sure.
Yes, of course.
now, this holding of Shiva by Shakti is represented in the Shiva Linga, right? The Linga is upside down and it is in the yoni of Shakti. If we go to a Shiv temple to do darshan, I mean, all of us may have seen this. So now this is telling us something, that Shakti has taken Shiva's organ into her womb, and her power is such that Shiv cannot take it out again. Now, this can happen in normal sex also, and this at a very high psychic level, what we call the spiritual level, where the divine, where the energy of Prakriti is able to hold the divine and not let the divine go. This is the state of dharana in yoga. This is the state where you got a glimpse, but now you are able to hold that glimpse. You have the highest energy of Shakti to hold that glimpse. So at a physical level, when we practice the Vajroli mudras and the Ashwini mudras, we are making the physical muscle strong, but we are also doing it at a psychic level, where once we get the glimpse, we will be able to hold that glimpse for longer periods of time. So I just wanted to say this. So this is what the Shiv Linga is. It is about Shakti holding Shiva in her womb, and Shiva cannot, even wants to escape, he cannot escape. Shakti has become so powerful. The frequency of Shakti has become so powerful. I hope I've been able to come across what I wanted to say. Yeah. Please give me a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Mr. Tavaria calls this Shakti as the energy of essence of consciousness.
So this highest form of Shakti which Mr. Tavaria calls as the energy of essence of consciousness.
The Shakti that can hold Shiva. Grahan Shakti,
It's
Dharna
called
Shakti.
Grahan Shakti or Dharna Shakti. Yeah, please go ahead.
The Shastras call it as Devi Shakti. It is the Shakti that is conducive to the evolving to higher states of consciousness.
It is that Shakti which helps us to evolve to higher states of consciousness, and it is that Shakti which holds the higher states of consciousness once they are achieved. And we must have heard this numerous times, that people get glimpses, but they cannot hold on to those glimpses, right? And so what they are lacking is this energy of essence of consciousness. Right?
In the 9 days of Navratri, this Grahan Shakti at its highest form is available naturally in the environment. The earth, deep in its core, takes the sun's energy and creates this high frequency energy. It then releases it into the atmosphere. It is easily available and can be invoked into the body-brain system. Just as water rises from the ground into the stems of plants as the full moon comes close, so also this high-frequency feminine energy descends towards the earth in the 9 days of Navaratri.
So now this highest form of Shakti, it is readily available at the time of Navratri. So all farmers know that if you're watering your plants, you give more waters towards full moon as the moon is rising, and give less water in the dark period of dark fortnight, because the tendency of water to rise, it increases as we move towards the full moon, every day towards the full moon. So if you give the water more towards the full moon or in the rising moon, that fortnight, then there is a tendency in water that it will rise up in the stem of the plant. The roots have to make less effort to take that water inside. Similarly, in the Navratri period, the earth releases this very high energy of essence of consciousness. It surrounds the earth, the environment, the earth in its atmosphere. And if we know how to invoke that energy, right, then we can allow that energy to become a part of our body-brain system. Please go ahead, yeah. I think if you read from the earth again, the earth.
The earth, deep in its core, takes the sun's energy and creates this high frequency energy. It then releases it into the atmosphere. It is easily available and can be invoked into the body-brain system. Just as water rises from the ground into the stems of plants as the full moon comes close, so also this high-frequency feminine energy descends towards earth in the 9 days of Navaratri.
Of course, all energy is feminine, but I've just written the word feminine over there. Right. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The invocation is done through prayer or arti.
So Navratri Puja starts with an arti. I'm not going into the details of that arti, but it starts with an arti. Arti means aratri, that which clears darkness, that which brings consciousness, that which invites consciousness, right? Yeah.
The powerful energy, which is external, is made internal through invocation.
Through avahan, through invocation, that energy which is easily available is made internal. Not only that, at the time of doing the arti, they have a kind of mid-pole, and they allow the energy to, get pratishthit, established in that mid-pole during the, right.
The arti is typically performed first during the Navratri celebrations.
Yeah.
After the invocation, the energies which are invoked are given centrifugal force through dance.
Yeah. So they are given force where they can spread to every cell of the body-brain system, right, in a certain way. So for that, they need centrifugal force. Yeah.
This catapults the energies. They are given
Sends it in
direction.
all directions.
They are given direction by turning in circles and different yantras.
So initially there used to be different circles, different diagrams, different yantras, and people would go. Now, of course, it has become just more just what you call ritual, but and in that these energies would take certain direction, and they would help the energy at the bottom of the spine to start rising up the spine. Right.
These energies take on the primordial acts of
So when we are doing the dance, we are copying these primordial acts. Please go on. Yeah.
These energies take on the primordial acts of creation, fruition, and destruction. The different dance rituals copy different life cycles, from the seasons in nature to the cycles within the body.
Yeah. So all the turnings and the dance forms are all based on certain what do you call patterns, which allow the what do you call the sleeping Shakti to rise up the spine. Right.
This energy takes 9 forms in 9 days, and each day is governed by a different goddess, and her form embodies the energy that can be manifested.
Right.
These 9 goddesses are considered as 9 different forms of goddess Durga.
Right. So Durga is the main deity, and these are 9 forms of Durga. Right. And each one is a different form. Each day is a different form. And another way to invoke that energy is we can identify with that form, try to become that form, we'll have oneness with the form. And that is also possible. So Aarti is one way, but the other way of identification is also to become one with that deity or that what do you call figure, the goddess figure, the Devi Shakti. Right.
Together, they are called the Nava Durga or the 9 Durgas. The 10th day is Vijayadashami or victory.
Yes, our energy has reached its source where it started its journey from at the creation of the universe, and the energy has come back. The whole cycle of the universe is over. This is the day of Vijayadashami. Actually, when we go deeper into this, there is a whole movement of energy which starts from the Chaitra Navratri and ends at the Vijayadashami. But we will go into that in some other day. It's a very deep science.
Now, these Nava Durgas can be understood and experienced both in horizontal time and vertical time.
They can be experienced in linear time, in our normal from birth to death eventual time, or they can be understood in vertical time where we rise in consciousness. Right.
In horizontal time, we can see them as different aspects of the cycle of life. From birth, or even from conception, to the attitudes of youth, to maturity, motherhood, to death, spiritual blossoming, and the merging, and the last one, the sharing of spiritual energy and power.
Yeah, the last one is Siddhadatri, the one who gives Siddhis. She shares a spiritual power which has blossomed within her. Right. Siddhidatri.
We can also look at them in a vertical journey, from the base of the spine to the top of the head. The 8 chakras from Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Ajna, Sahasrara, and Bindu. Again, the last is the sharing of spiritual gifts.
The 9th one is the sharing of the gifts after she has moved through the 8 chakras. Now she's just distributing, sharing what she has gained. Yeah. Right. So this is the journey of Kundalini energy. We will see as and when time permits, we can go deeper into this. Right.
Another angle is that they are stepping stones in our spiritual journey to higher states of consciousness. Different levels of scenery in our spiritual journey.
Yeah. So in the spiritual journey, we are going to pass through valleys and what do you call deserts and all kinds. And these 9 Devis, they represent everything that we pass through till we come to the being established in the divine.
Spiritual blossoming is multi-dimensional.
Now we can take them from one angle, right? So in another form, totally we can take them, that they all represent the spiritual blossoming. And that spiritual blossoming has 9 different angles. We can see it, the truth can be seen from in 9 different ways. And each one is that ultimate truth. We can also take them in that way and have a look at them.
The same truth looks different from different angles. So we can take these as 9 different ways to hold consciousness or Grahan Shakti.
Grahan Shakti.
Because they are Grahan Shakti, we can look at them from the angle of astrology. Graha or planet means to hold or to grasp.
Yes, to hold or grasp the divine. Right? So they are Grahan Shakti. They are that Shakti which once the divine gives a glimpse, they hold or grasp the divine. Right? So, and again, when we, you see, because the English word planet does not exactly you will translate properly as Graha. I mean, Graha does not translate properly as planet. Graha means that which can hold different influences on the divine influence. Right? So this Grahan Shakti can take 9 forms, because we in Vedic astrology we look at 9 planets. So we can also look at them from the angle of the planets. That is what I was trying to say. Right. Go ahead, yeah.
Sun, Moon, Earth, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Rahu and Ketu, the ascending and descending nodes of the moon.
Right.
Just as the planets go anti-clockwise around the sun in our solar system and thus absorb its energy, so in the dance as well, there is a central pole which holds the invoked energy.
So in the Aarti, we have invoked the energy, which is easily available. That energy is in a central pole, and everybody is dancing around that pole, doing the Ras Garba around that pole. So they are, just as the planets are taking energy from the sun, they are absorbing energy from that central pole. And incidentally, this was brought to my attention by Ketava. Right? Okay.
The dancers then go anti-clockwise around the central pole, absorbing the energy of the goddess of the day.
Yes, the special quality of energy of that day is absorbed by them.
Durga is seen in 2 ways: the Shakti which arrests involution or the falling into identification. Durga, Durgati, Durga, Durgati, Durkar.
Yeah, so we say Durga, Durgati, Durkar. There is only one Durgati, only one wrong movement, Gati, wrong movement, and that is to fall in consciousness. So Durga is that inner Shakti, all these 9 days, which don't allow, once we have reached a certain stage of consciousness, they don't allow us to fall again. And in that, with the word Durga means a fort. It battles the forces which want to bring us down. It could be the, what do you call, the desires of the senses or the inclination of the senses, all the forces which are trying to pull us down again, sensual attachment, and we build that fort, and that fort has the energy Durga, which does not allow us to fall. So that is one way of looking at Durga, right? Yeah.
In this, she is the fort, Durga, which stops the forces of involution.
Yeah, the forces of evolution keep attacking us. We keep wanting to go into identification. We keep wanting to fall in attention and move into daydreaming or desire or etc. And those forces, we build this fort, and this fort has the energy. Somebody is not mute.
Yeah. In this, she is the fort Durga, which stops the forces of involution.
Right.
And she is also seen as that which overcomes the difficult or impossible.
Do means the difficult. And to get rid of the difficult, gati, to overcome the difficult. Right? So, in our onward journey of consciousness, as we rise the ladder of consciousness, as we rise in being, we may face so many obstacles, right? So in the Yoga Sutra, we say there are two things. There are intervals and obstacles. Obstacles which stall our rising, and intervals which make us fall. We fall in the interval. So she stops the interval and she helps us to overcome. It is the Shakti which helps us to overcome the obstacles, right? And we've gone through those obstacles in the Yoga Sutra. Yeah. Okay. Good.
The basic quality of the inner soul is it is lazy, intellectually, emotionally, and physically.
Yeah. So our basic quality of man is he wants to fall in coach. He wants to go into daydreaming, right? He is lazy. He doesn't want to hold attention at higher levels. This is the basic. And he will argue intellectually. He will be emotional about it. And he is physically lazy also. This laziness takes, go ahead, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
This laziness takes the form of a buffalo demon called Mahishasur. Durga.
Mahish means the buffalo, yeah.
Durga slays these demons. So these 9 days are ruled by Durga. 9 days to be free of laziness, not allow ourselves to fall and to do the impossible.
And if you see this on a large scale, forget the spiritual journey, forget everything else. Just even if you take it just in the form of enjoyment, you will see people will dance the whole night on these 9 days. They will work in the day and again dance the whole night on these 9 days. And they will not be short of energy. So it is, Durga is this form of Shakti which automatically, naturally overcomes laziness and sloth, right? Yeah, go ahead.
The first manifestation of Durga on the first day of Navratri is Shailputri. She is also Parvati, or the wife of Shiva. She rides a bull and carries a
bull. Nandi over there. I made a mistake. She rides the bull or Nandi. Yeah, right. You can change it later on.
And carries a trident and a lotus in her two hands.
Trident is Trishul. She carries a trident and a lotus in her hands. Yeah, lotus. Right. So she's riding Nandi and she's holding this Trishul, and she is very beautiful to look at. She's young, right? And the Nandi is white, a white Nandi, and her clothes are semi-white, nearly white, pinkish white clothes. Yeah.
In her previous birth, she was Sati, the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Once, Daksha Prajapati had organized a big...
Daksh means the one who is clever, the one who is cunning. Prajapati is the one who creates many eyes in our inner system. So it is our ego who is very clever, and he creates so many eyes that those one eye or the other is always leading us in identification. We can never rise higher. So Daksha Prajapati represents our inner ego. Yeah.
Once, Daksha had organized
Prajapati means to create praja, to create offspring. Yeah. Create many eyes. Sorry. Yeah.
Once, Daksha had organized a big yajna and did not invite Shiva. But
now a yajna towards consciousness. A yajna is something which leads you to consciousness, and you don't invite consciousness. You tell consciousness you're not invited. Then what are you doing the yajna for?
But go ahead, please.
Sati.
But Sati, being obstinate, reached there.
I put this in very short. I've not gone much into the yajna. Yeah.
Thereupon, Daksha insulted Shiva. Sati could not tolerate the insult of husband and burnt herself in the fire of yajna. In the other birth, she became the daughter of Himalaya in the name of Parvati, Shailputri. She is the daughter of Himavat.
Himavat or Himalaya. Yeah, she's the daughter of Himavat or Himalaya. Now, this is a very long story. I've just taken it in short. so as I don't take up too much time. But one thing I want to say is that Shiva he took this body of Sati, and he was moving all over the universe, lamenting with the body of Sati. And Vishnu, with his Sudarshan Chakra, then cut up the body of Sati into 51 parts. And those 51 parts fell in different places in India. So we have 51 Shakti Peeths in India. These are, each Peeth is where one part of the body of Sati fell. So like the heart fell in Ambaji, and that is why Ambaji is so powerful. And some say that the Yoni, it fell in Jageshwar. Other people, of course, claim it fell in Kamrup in Assam, right? But even if you go to Jageshwar, you can feel the power of that Yoni Shakti in Jageshwar. So these are 51 places in India where Shakti is very, very powerful, even during the non-days of Navratri also, right? Yeah, good.
She wants Shiva as a husband and thus does tapas for thousands of years.
As a young child, she goes straight into tapas. She wants Shiva. She has come into this life. She's at the base of the spine. She wants to reach the top of the head and reach Shiva. And to reach the top of the head, you have to do tap for thousands of years. And she started. So this is the beginning of our spiritual journey. Right? Yeah, good.
Her home is at the base of the spine in the Muladhara chakra. The energy starts stirring here.
So with the first day of Navratri, the energy starts stirring here. This is the beginning, right? Towards the final merging on the 9th day with Shiva. Right?
And she represents the beginning of the journey towards the final merging with Shiva.
Right.
She's sitting on a bull, Vrusharudh.
She's sitting on Nandi, the bull, Vrusharudh. Vrush, it comes from the word testes, Vrushan. And it signifies the basic sexual energy or primordial energy which lies in the Muladhara chakra. Right? And she's riding on that, means she has tamed this energy completely. She has changed the direction of this energy, and she's transforming this energy into something totally different from its normal, natural state. Right? Please go ahead.
This energy is conditioned to go out and to create new offspring. But she has tamed the bull and changed the direction of the energy from out to in, or from down to up.
So in the inward journey, in also means in, and in also means up, and out also means out, and out also means down. So both are interchangeable this way. Yeah.
She is the starting point of the spiritual journey. She is the rock of spiritual standing, and the whole world.
Muladhara is the Adhar of the earth, because the earth tattva lies in Muladhara. So the whole earth is standing on Muladhara, right? So she is that rock of where, because she's called Shailputri, the daughter of the rock. So she's the rock of that spiritual standing. She's standing there, and from there we start our spiritual journey.
You know, maybe that's why the bull and Shailputri are looking in different directions in this, to signify that she is moving in the other direction.
The diagrams came much later. Initially, they were just yantras. Hey, Ketan, you have not done any, what do you call, numbering in my... I'll have to find it.
Number 30, point number 30.
Yeah, but you have put dots everywhere.
Oh, I think the printing might not have, might have eliminated the margins might not have come properly in the the first Navratri is a very auspicious day.
Right.
This is the start for being in tune with the Divine Mother Durga. Her color is white, denotes purity, innocence, peace, and calmness. Shailputri is the manifestation of this earth planet. which includes what is apparent on this earth and within
the
the
earth tattva resides in Mooladhara, but Shailputri herself is not the governing planet of the earth. She just lets the earth manifest.
Shailputri covers all the hills, vales,
All
water
the scenery
resources.
on the earth which we see, all the scenery is Shailputri.
Seas and oceans, including the atmosphere.
And we'll come into that just a little later when we go into the word Shailputri.
Therefore, Shailputri is the essence of the earthly existence. Her abode is in the Mooladhara chakra. The divine energy is latent in every human being. It is to be realized. Its color is crimson. The tattva is earth, with the guna, quality of coherence, and with the bhed, distinct characteristic of ghrand, the perception of smell. The Mooladhara releases
the qualities of the Mooladhara chakra, and so she has the highest of all these qualities, right? And as the Kundalini energy stirs in the Mooladhara, the first stirring gives the smell of jasmine in our own bodies. We won't see a jasmine flower anywhere, but we will start smelling jasmine flower. We know that the Kundalini energy has started rising.
The Mooladhara releases the smell of jasmine in our bodies when the energy starts stirring. The Mooladhara has 4 petals. These, at a physical level, are the urge to pass stools, the urge to urinate, the sexual impulse, and the urge to pause. This pause is developed at a psychological level.
Now, at the basic level in Mooladhara, the urge to pass stools, the urge to urinate, and the sexual impulse, and the 4th petal on the Mooladhara chakra, because it has 4 petals, is the urge. You can use the pause, you can pause the passing of the stools, you can pause the urge to urinate, and you can pause the sexual impulse, right? Now, we don't, at an instinctive level, we don't pause passing of stools and pause the urge to urinate. Of course, sometimes if you're in a meeting or something, you may have to. That is a different matter. But it is the 4th petal which gives us the power to do that. Now, what I want to say over here is that at a psychological level, these energies become very important, right? If I want to throw what in English we call, don't throw your shit on anyone, that I keep on talking all nonsense about someone, right? So that is, it is like passing of stools at this thing, or I treat somebody very lowly. It is as if I'm urinating on that person. So at a psychological level, these impulses, we pause and we transform these impulses. We don't want to pause and transform the impulses at an instinctive level or at the physical level, right? Even though there are some very dark yogic techniques to do that, but we don't want to go into those, right? Now, the sexual impulse can be paused, and we'll go into the sexual impulse just a little. I haven't gone very deep into it. I've just touched it on the surface. One day when we go very deep into the Mooladhara chakra, we'll go into each of these petals. Yeah, go ahead.
Sexual impulse again consists of 4 sub-urges: seminal, emission, erection, and ejaculation. She represents and governs the moon, provider of all fortunes.
Would you like to just touch upon these 4? Seminal is when we feel the sexual impulse. Emission is that we feel a little wet in the sexual orgasm. 3rd is erection, is when we are excited. And 4th is when we reach orgasm. Of course, orgasm and ejaculation should not be the same, but actually in males, it is just now, both are connected with each other. So I'm just giving you an outline of this. We will go very deep into this when we touch upon the Mooladhara chakra.
He represents and governs the moon.
All these impulses can be paused. All these impulses can be paused at a physical level, and they can be paused at a psychological level, where we hold the divine and we don't let go. We don't ejaculate the divine after holding the divine. So what we are doing at the physical level, it is the same law which applies at the psychological level, at the higher level.
She represents and governs the moon, provider of all fortunes.
She gives us good fortune because she governs the moon energy. And it is the moon energy, which is the mind, our own mind, which creates obstacles in our good fortune. Mr. Tavaria used to say so many times, he used to say, ke, તમે બધાય રાજાના પુત્ર છો, પણ તમે ભિખારીની જેમ કેમ જીવો છો? So you would say all of you all are, what do you call, children of kings, but you have such a good fortune. Why are you all living as beggars, right? So it is the moon, the mind, which comes in the way. All of us come with a very good fortune. He used to say your feet is your very good destiny. Your feet is your destiny. Your face is your fortune. But the moon does not allow us to make our fortune. So she represents the moon, and by invoking her power, we get rid of all the obstacles to our good fortune. Now, good fortune does not mean that I earn a lot of money or I get a lottery tomorrow. Good fortune means I rise in consciousness, right? Okay.
It is believed that any bad effect of the moon can be overcome by worshipping her.
So in those horoscopes in which the moon is weak, or the moon is negative, or the moon is giving a bad effect, they should go into the arti of the first day of Navratri and do puja of Shailputri. Yeah.
Now, let us go into the terminology. Putri is the feminine form of Putra. Putra is one who saves one from the hell or suffering of Put. Put is a place of suffering for being childless.
Now, the what do you call, the definition of Putra is the one who saves the father from the hell of Put, right? From the narak of Put, right? Okay.
Put is a place of suffering for being childless. Those who do not have children live in a hell, in the sense they have not redeemed themselves.
Right. So if we do not have children, we have not redeemed ourselves. Somebody has allowed us to give birth, and we must allow other souls to come. If we do not allow other souls to come, then where will they go? They may go to places where there is no possibility to rise in consciousness. And that is why such people are said to live in a hell called Put. But the minute you have a Putra or Putri, you have been taken out of that hell. Je tare, Put namna narak mati tare. Could you just check who is?
Yeah, done. We have certain hidden feelings in our emotional center. Paternal or maternal.
Before we have children, we are not aware of certain feelings which are hiding in our unconscious mind. But those feelings only come up after we have children, right?
Paternal or maternal affection.
We call this in Sanskrit as Vatsalya Bhav, means the paternal or maternal affection, the feeling of sacrifice for our children. These feelings are hidden in our subconscious, unconscious mind, but they come into the conscious mind after we have children. And that is why, unless we experience these feelings in life, then we live in a kind of hell called Put. Yeah.
The feeling of sacrifice. The human form is to transform affection into love. Affection,
so man has been given affection to transform into something higher called love. And he has to transform all forms of affection. And if these forms are not, remain hidden in the unconscious mind, he's not able to transform them. Yeah.
Affection takes many forms for our friends, family, country. to transform it to non-reactive love.
Right.
If we do not have
Affection
children,
for my son, but affection increases and decreases. It may, if he does well in the exam, more affection. He does badly in the exam, I feel hurt and my affection goes away. So affection goes up and down, but love does not go up and down. Love is non-reactive, right? So we transform our affection. The human form is a factory to transform affection into love, right? And this is what we do.
many are identified with the concept of just enjoying life.
Yeah, you can explain that Pitru rule also. That's a nice thing you put.
In our scriptures, there are various runes that are said that we as humanity are under, and we have to redeem ourselves from it. One of it is called Pitru rune, and this can only be redeemed if we have children. And tying to what Rajan Bhai mentions here, if we don't have children, it's difficult to develop these higher latent qualities of sacrifice and Vatsalya Bhav. And thus, it becomes difficult to go to heaven or symbologically rise to a state of consciousness which can be achieved when we have these higher qualities in us.
Or not live in the hell of good.
Many are identified with the concept of just enjoying
I've seen
life.
in many of my childhood friends and my young days friends, they refuse to have children and they just want to enjoy, eat, drink and be merry and spend money in life and be happy. And that's a very selfish way, because when you have a child, you have to sacrifice for the child. And you have to you sacrifice personal enjoyment for the good of the child. And there is a joy in sacrificing. And when you don't experience that joy, but only experience the, what you call, pleasures of life, then you live in that hell called Putta, right? The joy of sacrifice. Now, Put comes from a deeper word called Pru, to fill.
To fill. So by having a child, and empty.
I have not written it, but I'll just put it. That another word for Shailputri is she is going to be Shiva's wife, and when she becomes Shiva's wife, Shiva becomes Parvati. So the word Parvati comes from the word Pru, to fill, and also this word Putri comes from Pru, to fill. Yeah.
So by having a child, an empty space is filled in our psychological structure.
Having a child, an empty space in our psychological structure. So that is why to fill, right?
Shailputri, the one who liberates, delivers Shail from the hell called Put. Shail means one who is born from a Shila, a mountain, a rock.
She's the daughter of the mountain, daughter of the Himalaya. So Shila, she's the daughter of Shila, a mountain or a rock. Now we go into the word Shila.
Shila comes from from Shil, to collect together, to glean.
Now I'll just make an outline over here that there are two ways a mountain can be made, right? One is that something is left over, that is gleaning, and that leftover collects, and over time a mountain collects. So if water passes over something, but every time leaves something, then that silt material will collect, and over millions of years a mountain may form. So the mountain has been formed by collection. This is called a Shila, the mountain which is formed. Or there is an empty space where mud has been filling in every year, or rock has been filling every year, and over millions of years it gets filled into a mountain. Then that is Parvat. So Shila is one which has been collected and formed into a mountain, and Parvat is one which has been filled and made into a mountain. Both of them mean mountain. Both of them have different connotations. Yeah. Go ahead.
Shila comes from Shil.
Parvati comes from Parvat, right? Her wish to marry Shiv was fulfilled. So Parvati, right? So it is. She kept on filling in through her sadhana, she kept on filling in the gap between her and Shiv, and one day that gap was filled up completely.
Sheila comes from Sheel, to collect together, to glean. That is, what is collected by gleaning. The water flows away and some material is left, and over time it makes a rock. And born from Sheila, shell, plentiful from so many places.
And when
It
so
is a-
many it is happening at the same time, then you will say so many mountains have happened together, and they are the Himalayas, like you can say. Right?
Plentiful from so many places. It is of many different things. The Vidya which is born is Shailputri.
Yeah. So now I just go through the next sentence and then I'll explain it. Yeah.
Gurdjieff gleaned leftover knowledge from so many
Gurdjieff
sources.
traveled and traveled. And if you must read that book on Gurdjieff's travels, Meetings with Remarkable Men, and where he traveled and he collected knowledge from so many sources. He gleaned knowledge, leftover knowledge, which the original people who had that knowledge, they had died thousands of years ago. But he, gleaned this leftover knowledge, collected it into a heap, share. And from that heap, he made a new form of yoga, a new system of yoga, Shailputri. So you can say that Gurdjieff's knowledge is Shailputri, you can say in a way.
Gurdjieff gleaned leftover knowledge from so many sources, and he collected all this together and made a heap of knowledge, shell. And the child of that.
Shailputri, the fruit of gleaning, the fruit of collecting together, right? Our attention is distributed in so many places, in our family, in our possessions, in our things, in our country, in our friends, everywhere our attention is distributed. When we glean our attention and collect it together, then that becomes a very powerful instrument for our inner journey, right? So that is Shailputri. So we want to start our journey. And in this journey, what do we want to do? We want to turn the attention inwards and take the attention inwards. But our attention is fragmented in so many places. This collecting of attention and turning it inwards, that is the daughter of the mountain, Shailputri.
She has a trident or trishul in her hand. It is a weapon, a pike, with 3 points in front. That which impels, that which creates 3 kinds of disorder.
So the 3 represents the 3 forces. Now, Mr. Tawaria says that if the 3 forces are in a state of rhythm and balance, there can be no creation. They have to lose their rhythm and balance. So she creates disorder in the 3 forces so that something new can be created. And that is the Shailputri, the child which goes on the spiritual journey.
He is Prakriti or nature and commands the 3 forces. Only imbalance of the forces can give a manifestation. If all 3 are in rhythm and balance, then creation disappears. The manifest becomes unmanifest. Shul is to upset the rhythm.
Upset that rhythm, right.
She is on Nandi.
A bull. She's on a bull, Nandi, and Nandi means Anand. She's in a state of deep Anand. She's right. She has transformed the sex energy. She's on a state of deep Anand, right?
She has a lotus in her hand. The lotus is a symbol of beauty that is divine and purity. Rising from the mud, it springs from the navel of Vishnu while he is in Yoga Nidra. And the unfolding petals signify the expansion of consciousness.
Once Mr. Tawaria was talking about one poem, I've forgotten the name of the poem, where he says that if in sleep you were given a flower and when you woke up, you saw that flower on your pillow or something. Very famous poem. I can't remember which one it is. And Mr. Tawaria was very well versed in poetry. He loved poetry. And so when we are in a state of yoga nidra, right, we enter into different higher quality, consciously enter into different states of the mind. And from there, lotus grows out of the mud. The mind has muck, but we transform that negativity in yoga nidra and we create the lotus out of it. right? So it is like using the yoga of Yoga Nidra, the dream yoga, to create the flower of the lotus flower, right? Yeah, go
It
ahead.
is pure beauty that grows from mud. Its unfolding is the energy of creativity or Brahma. The divinities of potential.
And in consciousness. And so the lotus, it depicts the expanding consciousness, but it grows out of negativity. It grows from mud. It grows from the transformation of negativity.
The divinities of potency, Shakyata, and wealth connected with Lakshmi are symbolized by the lotus.
Right.
Though floating in muddy waters, the lotus remains unsullied,
So water
untouched.
does not remain on the lotus. They say water floats, it slides down back into the water, and the lotus remains untouched. So a person, a yogi, is one who lives in sansar, but he's not touched by the muddy waters of sansar. Go ahead.
So lives the yogi in the sensual world of Maya, the muddy waters of Sansar. It is a symbol of purity of body,
Body,
speech.
speech, and mind. Yes, your speech must become pure. If there's aggressiveness in the speech, if there's what you call obstinacy in the speech, right? If there's egoism in the speech, then the speech is not pure.
It is a symbol of purity of body, speech, and mind. As while rooted in the water, its flowers blossom on long stalks, as if floating above the muddy waters of attachment and desire. It also symbolizes Vairagya, as water slides off its petals easily.
Right. Okay, so we'll stop here. So this is the first Navratri. It starts on the 5th of October. 15th of October, sorry, 15th of October. 15th of October. So, I mean, we worship this form. We try to identify with this form. We invoke this form. Later, I'll try to, as the lectures progress, I'll try to go much deeper into different techniques of invocation. Aarti is just one of them, but there are many, many techniques of invocation, and I'll try to explain those.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
May I ask?
Yes.
It's saints and scriptures have told us that samsaram sagaram dukkam, and those on the spiritual path are trying very hard to get rid of detachment. So this verse where it says that
get rid of
attachment.
Yeah.
Get rid of attachment. You have to get rid of attachment and make the love a universal love, not tied to personal bonds. But then there is a conflict here where it says that if you don't have a child, you will suffer. Isn't that on the worldly level? I know at least two cases. One of them, a relative, wonderful person. He spent, did his duty, much loved by everybody. He spent his life in Ramanashram, spent about 20 years. He's a scholar and I mean, very selfless, gave away his wealth to. He never missed. I've asked him. He's a dear cousin. You miss having a child and family? He said, no, I have never felt the need for it.
See, there are many yogis who have done this in their past life and don't need to do it in this life. They have fulfilled that obligation, right? And they redeem themselves, because we redeem ourselves mechanically by giving passage to new children.
Yes.
Right? But there are many people who can redeem themselves by giving out consciousness or sharing in consciousness. Right? And but for a person who does not have children and wants to have children, the way to be free is you must go to a school or something and spend time every week playing with children. It is that which gets over the curse of not having a child.
Okay. So where they feel they need to show love.
You see, take Mr. Tavaria, right? He wanted to give up everything. He did not want to have children or get married, but his guru forced him. Right? So there is truth also, but every coin has another side. There may be people who have already fulfilled that obligation. right? And we cannot see in which dimension they fulfill it. So, I mean, so many of them did not have children. Raman Maharishi did not have children, right? And so many of these yogis did not have children. So we cannot say that they did not achieve consciousness. But for us, we have to redeem ourselves. Where we are, we have to redeem ourselves.
Very important point. Thank you, sir. It's been troubling me for quite some. Thank you so much. Your reply makes a lot.
I hope you enjoyed the talk. Huh?
Well, wonderful, sir. Absolutely wonderful. In fact, I stopped taking down notes because I wanted to listen. Points were wonderful.
Now you can ask Ketan to send you the note.
Yes, yes. We would like to have, in fact, I want to write to him and ask him all the notes for these lectures would be very useful. It's not a one-time hearing or seeing. Thank you so much. So grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, any more questions or we are through?
Any more questions? Mr. Rao, do you have a question? Okay. Any other? Yeah.
Just a small little question related to the direction of the dance we do. We usually do Navratri dance in anti-clockwise, right?
Yeah.
So is there any significance?
Yeah, because the sun and the planets are going around the sun anti-clockwise.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I think we mentioned it, right? You missed it.
Any other questions? There is something.
One last question. Can I ask one last question, sir?
Okay, please. Yes,
yeah.
go ahead.
I don't want to monopolize. Is it right when we pray that we should be free of family ties? I mean, not in a negative way, that in the future births, next birth, you're trying very hard to get out of this Maya and all that. Sometimes the thought comes unbidden. It's good to be free.
That is a negative thought.
Negative thought, okay.
We enjoy the family ties and still be free of them.
Okay.
Not get attached to them. And
Yes.
not get attached to the enjoyment of them.
Right? Yes.
Right. So I enjoy myself with my son, but if my son does not listen to me, I don't have any complaint or negativity.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That is the way to be free. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Pray to bring more richness in your family ties.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. Okay.
I'm so grateful to you, sir, for this great spiritual guidance.
Shall we stop? I think I'll just say the sloka. Anybody else wants to say the sloka? Okay, I'll say it. Om Sehna Bhavatu Sehno Bhunaktu Saviryam Karva Vahai Tejasvina Vaditamatsu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Good night.